All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting of the Finance Committee to order. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And we'll start with if anyone has announcements, acknowledgements, or recognition. Mayor McLean-Weil.
We normally rely on our communications staff to provide us with recognitions of particular dates, and I know we have a new person, and she's just getting her feet under her, I think, as of Friday. But this is African Heritage Month, and I was reminded by someone at the gym last night that the municipality, are you doing anything? And I went, well, thank you for reminding us all about the need to recognize this as part of what is our cultural heritage here. A long history of 400 years, 52 communities of original communities, and of course, the diaspora of Africans who have become part of our population here as newcomers. And certainly in this area, with the McLeod Group having brought in Africans to work in the new nursing home, we have even more in our community than what we did have. So I do want to say that this month is African History Month. It is a time which honors the history, culture, and achievements and contribution of African Nova Scotians here in our community. 2026 theme is for African History Month is Strength and Unity, Moving Forward with Purpose, Prosperity, Power, and Progress. It reflects the strength that grows when communities can come together and with a shared purpose. It honors the progress made through the solidarity of the community, working with the other communities within the province, and the power of unity to create lasting change. So I hope that over the next month, we will recognize and see some activities in our community. Sometimes the library has something. I didn't have time this morning to check if they were recognizing, and I'm looking over at Councillor Smith, but the library is often certainly a resource for materials. I'm always big on reading about some of the celebrations that we have and recognizing the cultural communities that exist within Nova Scotia. So I would direct people to our library to maybe draw on some of the resources that would be there.
Thank you. Very important to note that. So thank you for announcing that. And Councillor Burns, did you have something as well?
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the loss in the community of Lawrence Broom. Recently passed away, self-proclaimed mayor of the area, whether you knew him from the school bus, from the church, or from his time as deputy chief of the fire department. He certainly had an incredible impact on the community, and his loss will be felt. So rest in peace, and yeah.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make an announcement? Not seeing anyone else, so we will move on to the public input portion, but I do not see anyone in the gallery for public input today, so we will move on to any changes to the agenda, and I believe we have one from our CAO.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. We'd like to add under item 11, and it would be 11.1. It's correspondence from the town of Lunenburg. It's a funding request dated January 28, 2026. The purpose that we would like to put it forward is for council discussion so that we can get a sense of how council would like to deal with it in the budget process. So we don't anticipate it'll be a lengthy discussion, but we would like to present their funding request for council decision or for council direction as it relates to our budget process.
Okay, thank you. So I will ask someone to move to approve the agenda with the added item 11.1, correspondence from the town of Lunenburg, moved by Councillor Burns and seconded by Councillor Brooks. Next, we'll move on. All those in favor? Unanimously passed. Thank you. Next is approval of the minutes, and we did not have a Finance Committee meeting in January, so these are approval of the December 2nd, 2025 minutes. And if there are any changes, let me know, and if not, we can approve them as presented. And I'm not seeing any changes, so we'll approve those as presented. Next is business arising from the minutes.
There was no public input.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to our first presentation, which is Christine McClare, the Regional Coordinator for Region 6, and she's presenting via Teams on the Region 6 budget.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to give some details on the Region 6 budget. I will try to share my screen here. See if I can find. Excuse me. So are you able to see the presentation? Okay, I don't seem to have any audio. Just wondering if you're able to see the document.
No, we can't see it.
We're having a small technical difficulty. Give us a quick second.
Sure.
All right, we can see it now.
Okay, perfect. So I have not done a formal PowerPoint presentation. The documents that were circulated are the budget report, which explains where the funding comes from and a lot of the details about Region 6 for those who might be less familiar. So I won't go through that section. I will jump right down to the budget summary. So summary is showing on the screen, our anticipated revenue coming in, and between the contracts that we receive for education and the coordinator, comes in at 210,998. Stewardship and incentives, this is where we have to do some estimation on what diversion credits will be and monies coming in that will be distributed back out to the units. And we anticipate the shortfall between the contracts and the stewardship to come in at 147,885 to bridge the difference between the funding that we receive and the expenses that we have. So that is the total required from the Region 6 units this year is 147,885. And then based on population, District of Lunenburg portion would actually be 40,929 and 62 cents. So expenses summary, showing operations, education and payments to the units. So we're expecting that we'll have 555,622 to send directly back out to all the municipal units. And just a few of the details supporting those amounts. We did have a small surplus. from 2 years ago, which was applied to the expenses for this year, $8,365. So the municipal portion, and just to kind of put some tangibles on that. So based on population for District of Lunenburg, what you're paying out, the 40,929.62, would translate to about $1.60 per person. And then the anticipated funding coming back to you would be about $6.03 per person, for a net return of $4.43 per person is what's expected to come back to you. And the only other thing that I really wanted to draw attention to is dairy agreement. Showing here in the payments to units, that amount has been dropping over the last 2 years. And that is why the Shelburne County units, Queens and Shelburne County units have they've had a marketing problem with their milk containers. So their funding is much lower. That really doesn't affect the payments to District of Lunenburg or anybody to the east of Queens. This being the final year for the dairy agreement, the dairy stewardship has provided funds to us to manage their product for their packaging for liquid milk. But now that we have the new system of extended producer responsibility for printed paper and packaging, they will be part of that program, where they'll be paying for all of their packaging and not really making direct payments to us, but participating in that program. So it means that we won't have expenses to pay out for processing dairy, but we won't be receiving separate funding from them. And that was all that I wanted to draw attention to, and certainly open to questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McClare. Are there any questions? Councillor Smith.
Thanks for the presentation. I was wondering what is Region 6 responsibility as far as education around EPR?
Okay.
I don't know if you can answer that, but
My apologies, the audio was a little difficult to hear. Could you repeat?
I was just wondering if I could ask a question around education and EPR, the EPR program.
Yes, certainly. Certainly. I'll attempt to answer the question.
Okay, I just, there's been a bit of feedback from residents that the transition to the system has been a bit confusing. And I really appreciate, the graphics that are going out on Region 6, as well as South Shore Waste and, yeah, I'm just wondering if there's anything ahead as far as communication about that program, as well as sorting. It's a big transition in terms of sorting, but also I find people don't actually understand what the new system works, how it's saving us money, and what kind of were the incentives moving to this program. And I just wondered if there's anything ahead in your education that could tackle that kind of big picture issue, because I think it is exciting and it is a big change, but people don't really understand how the responsibility is shifted.
Sure. It certainly is something that we're looking towards. The thought process was to try and not necessarily overwhelm everybody with all the information, that we wanted them to continue on. If everybody just continues doing exactly what they were doing, they're perfectly fine. So we really didn't want to use the word change so much for the residents to, what you were putting in your blue bag before, continue to do so. We're not, we're adding to. So it is something, it's a little different. It's a little different where we have some items that are destined to go to a depot or we're asking people to take those to a depot for management. Things like chip bags and flexible plastics but it's not mandatory. So if a person chooses or finds it too difficult to go to a depot, they can continue to put them on the garbage. It's not banned. In addition, the enforcement is a little different. So if they actually put it in their blue bag, it would not get rejected. So that is a really big change for folks because it's always been a product has one place to go, and that's the only place it should be going. And now we're into this, it could go here or it could go there, which is a difference from municipal operations to this circular material. They're mandated to recycle these products. So they're easing away from the strong enforcement end in order to maximize the amount of material that they're capturing. So that being said, we are ongoing with communications. We're certainly trying to promote as much as we can. And any opportunity to get out in the public, we would certainly take advantage of that. I know that Angela has some public events that are going on. Different municipalities have invited her to set up a booth at a public event or recreation center or something like that, and for folks to come in and get face-to-face answers. So certainly we're working on communications, and I hear what you're saying that we still have some work to do. If there's any opportunity for us to reach out further, we will certainly take advantage of that.
Just to follow up to that, so are you saying that the depot items can be put in the blue bags and put on the roadside? You're saying the flexible plastics can, like chip bags and...
Yeah, they won't reject. They would prefer for them to go to depot, but it's still in designated material. So if you put it in your blue bag, you can't get rejected. We're just not allowed to tell people to go ahead and do that. But if it's in the blue bag, it's still a recyclable product. It won't get rejected. The reason for depot is that these new items, and including things like styrofoam and aerosols, non-hazardous aerosols. These are all kind of difficult products to process. So they don't want them going through the blue bag stream. They want them to kind of be separated and taken to depots so they can manage them separately and maximize their recyclability. If they go through the blue bag system, they might not be captured and might, in fact, end up going to landfill in the end. But if they go to depot, they can properly manage them. But you are correct that if people hear recyclable and they put it in their blue bag, it will not get rejected.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, there is a motion on the budget, so is there someone who could put that forward? Councillor Moore.
Thank you. I take the place of Casey DeLong on Region 6, and as Claire knows, I've only been to one meeting, so it's all been catch-up for me. Not ketchup that you dispose of, but catch-up on what I need to know. Okay, to Chair Councillor Reinhardt and members of the committee, I move that Finance Committee recommend that Municipal Council approve the 2026-2027 Region 6 budget, with the municipality share of the budget being $40,929.62, and I so move.
And seconder, Councillor Bell has seconded the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, passed unanimously. Okay, I think you can sign off. Ms. McClare, thank you for coming in and talking to us today.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Okay, so
We were still thinking about the catch-all. Yeah, right.
there's no consideration of correspondence, no recommendations from committees and boards, so we'll move on to staff reports. And first is our Director of Finance, Elena Wenzel, with a presentation on the operating variance report and capital status update for Q3.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, Mayor and Council. So you have before you the quarterly variance reports. This is your third quarter to December 31st, 2025. So we decided to make some changes, just maybe a little bit more ease of understanding of what's going on with the numbers. So as you know, like we set our budgets and our council approves them, and then as we move forward with this budget plan, staff will forecast how things are going with the revenues and expenditures. So I created this summary, the third quarter summary, that shows the cost drivers for the differentials. So our annual budget did have a surplus that we had budgeted of $120,600. The forecast is sitting at 1.8 million, which is a $1.7 million variance, about 3.69%. The biggest cost driver of that is on the revenue side, which is our deed transfer tax. We budgeted 1.8 million for deed transfer tax, and we're going to get at least 1.2 million more. So we've got a forecast of 3 million, which is the driver for that differential. There is some differentials in the expenditures. One of the things, there's ups and downs with those, but one of the things that we did want to highlight is that the EPR in this fiscal year, which is the expended producer responsibility that you've already been discussing with Region 6, has already saved us in this, or will save us in this fiscal $104,000, because we're not paying for the blue bag recycling to the Joint Services Board anymore. So that cost has been eliminated. So overall, we have a 3.69% variance, and those are kind of the things that are driving it.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Ms. Wenzel? Nope, seeing none, I'll ask, Councillor Smith.
Sorry, just a question about that EPR number. So do we have a projection over what that will save us in a full fiscal year?
You'll see that in your, through the chair to Councillor Smith. Yes, you'll see that in the budget when we introduce it next week on the 12th of February. You'll see the numbers on that.
Okay, we'll move on to Ms. Wenzel's next presentation on the operating variance third quarter report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, we'll move on to capital, which is not a problem. So we do have this lovely sheet of all your capital projects, and they're color-coded. They're kind of red. Red are projects not going forward. Yellow are projects that were being delayed or deferred. And green were projects that were on time or on budget or completed. So I've done just a couple of slides showing those projects. So for the projects that are not proceeding, we have three in our capital budget. One was the community solar garden, which we did discuss that wasn't going forward, as well as the J-Class road submission with the Nova Scotia Public Works. There was no paving partnership this year, and upgrades to Summer Road were not going forward.
Councillor Oikel.
Yes, I was wondering, what is the reason that we're not going forward with Summer Road upgrades? Especially considering the, one of the things was the culverts or ditches. So I would think that would be an important thing, especially since this road is one of ours.
Thank you for the question. So that's at the request of the residents. They were strongly opposed to any maintenance being done on their road whatsoever. So in the face of that type of resistance, we felt that the better path was to just concede to their requests. It was in the budget. We advised them that we were willing to do it. as a group, they indicated that they didn't want it done, and so we advised them that we will not do the maintenance this year.
Thank you.
Mayor McLean-Weil?
Yeah, if I can just add to that, I went out and saw that road and met with some people there. They were more concerned that they get good dust suppression as opposed to having the road upgraded, so.
Okay, you can continue.
Thank you. So now we'll move on to the yellow projects that are delayed. So there's quite a few projects on this list. I think there's 11. So they include things like public transit, which we're working on as a regional service, I believe. Center School, the building demolition and soil remediation, that project won't go forward without funding. Some land purchases that we just put in as placeholders. You'll be getting some information. We know that the Mark and the Wiles Lake facilities, council's kind of changed direction on that, and we're looking to get that public consultation done in the next little while, as well as our internal park wayfinding strategy, the Hillside Cemetery Monument, Art in the Trails, and pickleball courts. That'll be delayed depending on when we pay the organization, and they're ready for us to do that.
Councillor Moore?
Could we have some clarification on why the pickleball court is delaying? Is there, I mean, we made the motion to fund. I'm just wondering, is something wrong?
So the contracts were all signed. The builder, Maritime Tennis from New Glasgow, has been on site and did preliminary groundwork, including ground testing. But because of the fire restrictions that were in place for most of the summer, Department of Natural Resources advice was not to do construction in close proximity to woodlands. So that put us into the fall. And then they ran out of time. And so the plan is for them to return in the spring and recommence the construction. They've identified the site. So where it was going to go, if you recall, it was situated in the very back of the lot. Now it's much closer to the front.
Okay.
They've identified the pad area and the parking area that they're going to put in, as well as the access to the back of the lot, which is used by the mountain bike group. So it's anticipated that when Mr. McDonald returns from south in the spring, that he'll be back to work on the pickleball courts. And the Pickleball Court Association, they have their own project manager that they brought on, so he's been involved throughout.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions on the delayed projects, so we'll move on to ones that are moving.
Okay, so thank you, Madam Chair. I broke up the green into two sections. One are the completed projects, and one are the ones that are proceeding on time. So there's 8 projects that are now complete, and so those are listed there for your information. And if there's no questions, I'll move on to the projects that are proceeding on time. And there's 14 additional projects that are also green and proceeding on time. So we're happy to answer any questions on those as well.
Are there any questions on any of those projects? Councillor Brooks.
Thank you, Ms. Wenzel. Actually, if you could just go back to the second slide, just because I somehow it slipped through, but can you just tell me what for the dissolved oxygen probe, just the time frame and what our budget implication is for that? I'm just curious, and I just wanted to know the info on that. And forgive me if it was in front of me and I didn't see it.
sorry about that.
No worries.
I'm just looking for it. Yes, so the.
Hi, actually, if it's
Oh,
okay with
okay.
you, we have Stephen Pace coming up, Director of Engineering, who can add some clarity to that.
Yeah, the project was completed. I think, Elaine, you probably have the number there. It wasn't, it's not a large number, but.
Yes, through to Councillor Brooks, we have $19,657.
Anything over 10,000 is in the capital budget, but it wasn't a big project.
Great. Thank you, both of you. Appreciate that.
Councillor Smith.
Could you just tell me what stage the enhancement plan is at? I see in the that, you know, the plan is in process and at the draft planning stage with internal staff review. And I know that we did consultation on it, the consultation closed, and just wondering what next steps are around that. Sorry, maybe I'm not close enough to the mic.
Okay, and Dave Waters is coming up, our Director of Economic Development, to answer that question.
There is a presentation for council scheduled in policy and strategy for the final report. So the update will be during policy and strategy.
Okay, great, thanks.
Councillor Oikel.
Yeah, the water tower. I saw in the report, I believe, and I can't seem, I know I'm not going to be able to find it, that we've already selected a site. The site's been approved. Is that correct? Is that what I understood from what I read?
So the site was selected through a consultant, I believe in 2022 or 2023. And it's part of the Cookville Farm here in Osprey Village. The Public Service Commission has not yet approved the purchase of the site. They've approved the negotiation of the purchase price. So we negotiated with the owner and secured a purchase price quite some time ago. And then there was a number of studies requested. And so the last of those studies was completed by Design Point in November 2025. That report confirmed the change in size of the water tower. So now we have the new scope for the water tower, which will be going through I believe the Design Point report is being presented to the Public Service Commission next week. And that will allow us to move forward with the confirmation of the size. We need confirmation that the site is acceptable, confirming access, and then moving forward with the consultant that was retained quite some time ago to move forward with the water tower. So we think that all of the study pieces have now been in place, which will allow us to move forward so that we can move towards finalizing the water tower, which will improve the fire flow in Osprey Village.
Thank you.
Councillor Smith.
The community solar garden, I wonder if there's any updates on the, we turned over our application to a company. They changed their name. I can't quite remember what it is now, but yeah, if there's an update on that, I would love to hear.
Yep, so I just got the update this morning. So Power Bank has submitted their application for the solar garden at our former site on the Bowater Mersey Mill site. And so it's making its way through the process. And our expectation is that they will be successful with this application as they were with their previous two. But the province has to go through the application and then make the award. So it's at this point we're waiting for the province to confirm the award, and then once we get that confirmation, we'll update council. And we have an agreement with Power Bank that if they're successful with the award, 1 year after the award, they'll repay the 3 municipal units the funds that we had put in to move forward with our application. I also understand that, I might as well say it, the province, in its wisdom, has decided to change the program because they recognized that it was incredibly difficult for municipal units to successfully make applications, and that it was it was designed to favor private industry to such a degree that municipal units couldn't be successful. So that change is being made, and there's 2 municipal units that will likely take advantage of the change in the program, but that won't be us.
Sorry, I would just love to hear what are those changes?
They-
Or if you could send me the information afterwards, I'd be really happy.
So council may recall that the challenges that we ran into were both our capital and operating expenditures exceeded the benchmarks that were set by the province, benchmarks that we didn't know anything about. They've changed those to reduce them for municipal units in some fashion. I don't have all the particulars. I just learned about this morning, about 20 to 9. But that was our challenge. Our OpEx and our CapEx were so far above the benchmarks that we just couldn't be successful. That's now being adjusted to allow for municipal units some level of degree to level the playing field. It could be adjusting for the investment tax credits that we're not eligible for. But it's not something that's causing us to reconsider. We still think that council made the right choice, moving it into one of the most experienced solar bank, power bank now, with their experience with 2 other successful projects. They have another one that's in application, and the one that we used to have is in application. So they I think could end up with 4 projects in the province.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing any, so we will move on to item 10.1.2, which is a presentation from Angie Vino, our accounting manager, on streetlight and hydrant proposed area rates for 2026-2027.
Good morning, everyone. As part of the budget process, we require our area rates to be approved by council. Streetlights and hydrants are easily forecasted because all of the revenue that we receive for the current year has been posted and most of the expenses. So we analyzed the opening balances as of April the 1st, added on the revenue, took off the expenses, and came up with a figure with for the new area rates. We have attached the street lights in detail on the attached schedule, explaining them. So it is recommended that the Finance Committee recommend to Municipal Council to approve the 2026-27 fire hydrant rate at 0.0898 per 100 of assessment, and the street lights as attached. If you have any questions about the street lights, the difference in the amounts, I can try to answer the questions.
Councillor Oikel.
Yes, could you please explain why, and I already know the answer, but I feel that it's important for it to be said, why some of them are higher and some are lower, have been lowered, and some are higher?
So the ones that have been lowered are probably based on the assessed values in the area of the street light. So if the assessment of the properties have gone up, then the rates for the street lights have gone down. And also for the ones that go up, it means that it's based on a flat rate of number of street lights, and the cost probably has increased to the municipality from Nova Scotia Power.
So basically, if there's more people in an area that have moved in, then the rate will be lower because then it's spread over everybody.
Correct, or their property assessment has increased,
Okay.
which makes the property owner contribute more.
Right, Right, okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Vino? Mayor McLean-Weil.
This isn't directly related to the rates, but, I probably should know this, but I don't, so I'm going to ask the question. How do communities decide they're going to have a rate? They choose to have streetlights and that they're prepared to pay. We have a policy on that?
There's
or-
a policy, and I believe they have to, they're petitioned, aren't they?
Okay. So somebody can come forward if they meet all those criteria and then we administer it on their behalf?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Well, can I have someone put the motion on the floor?
I can do that.
Councillor Oikel?
To the Chair, Councillor Reinhardt, and members of the committee, I move that the Finance Committee recommends that Municipal Council approve the 2026-2027 fire hydrant rate of .0898 of $100 of assessment and the 2026-27 streetlight rates as presented, and I so move.
Okay, moved by Councillor Oikel and seconded by Councillor Hubley. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Passed unanimously. Okay, we will move on to 10.2, a presentation from the Administration Department. I believe Alex is doing that. Alex Dumarak, on the Bridgewater and Area Interchurch Food Bank request for funding.
Thank you. I did take the initiative and found out the numbers of, just for discussion, because it will probably be brought up, looking at which option we choose, and on what the numbers are for the New Germany Food Bank, and I emailed those all out to you.
Good morning, committee members. Just to provide a little bit of background as to why this is on your agenda, on January 13th, 2026, the Bridgewater and Area Interchurch Food Bank came to council. They noted that they were experiencing a deficit and were having trouble with their operations. They have 45 volunteers. They're entirely volunteer run, and they provide food to households in the Bridgewater area. So it's not only within the town, but also the communities that surround the town. And just in terms of stats, they cited over 12,000 visits projected for this year, and 37% of those users are from the municipality. Some of their explanation for the deficit was that they are seeing a decline in donations, but also an increase in costs, which I think is a surprise to no one, given what's been happening with food prices in the last couple of years. They are projecting a deficit, and they have been covering their deficit using money that they had been holding in reserve for a planned expansion to their building. So they requested financial support in the amount of $20,000 for the 2026-27 operating year for council. Council has provided support to food banks in the past. The Bridgewater one in particular did receive a major recreation capital grant in 2018. This was for $10,000, and it was for improvements to their building. During COVID, council decided to provide emergency support to food banks. And so the Bridgewater Food Bank received $5,500. And then from 2023 onwards, council had been providing a $1,000 annual donation to all of the food banks. So Bridgewater has received that for the past couple years. Just a quick note, those donations, both the emergency support and the annual donations were provided to other food banks that do serve MODL residents. So that would be Bridgewater, the Bridgewater one, obviously, Mahone Bay, Town of Lunenburg, and New Germany. So just providing some very quick analysis of options for council. So you currently have annual operating grant fund, which is available to community groups that are providing service to your residents. So this is an option. You could direct the food bank towards that fund. Maximum eligible funding for that fund is $5,000. We are usually oversubscribed, and so groups aren't usually awarded the full $5,000. And the food bank has requested $20,000. So that would provide some support, but wouldn't come close to the request that they had made of you. The council could choose to simply address the food bank through your budget, so you could decide not to direct them through any kind of grant program and simply award the money to the food bank. They do provide an important service to residents who are certainly experiencing grave financial difficulties. Just to note, you would probably see some requests coming from other food banks if you were to grant this request to Bridgewater. So you'd have to make a determination on amount and then consider whether or not you're open to those requests. Your third option would be to establish an operating grant specifically for food banks. So this would address the concern around stable operating funding. We would recommend that if you were to do this, you should establish a budget amount, and then we could develop a formula for you that would proportionally provide funding based on the share of households that were being served that were from the municipality. In terms of budget, we do have $10,000 annually that has been going in your local emergency management budget, which has been going towards the overnight shelter and food banks. But SOTA has indicated they're no longer seeking overnight shelter funding. They have stabilized support from the provincial government for that service and are more inclined to save their funding requests for housing projects that may be coming along in the coming years. So you currently have $10,000, which could be directed towards this fund. Provisionally in our draft budgets, we've included $20,000 for food bank support in 2026. Obviously, that's only in draft for council's discussion purposes in the coming weeks. So I'd be very happy to entertain questions and discussion on this, and staff at this point are simply looking for direction on which way you'd like to proceed. If it is towards option 3, then we'll do the work of preparing a grant and including the funding in your 2026-27 budget.
Okay, Councillor Bell was first, and then Deputy Mayor Vino.
Thank you. I see option 1 as being obsolete at this time based on current conditions. So leaves us option 2 or 3. Option 2 would give us a chance to make sure that there was a place in the budget with a further discussion on other food banks that may not have made an application yet, but we would suspect would be coming. And it doesn't have an actual figure in, so again, it would allow us to have discussion and be flexible if there happened to be an application from a northern food bank. Option 3 is the one that I feel most comfortable with because we can put a figure in and I can feel confident that we could be flexible with that figure based on the additional income that we got from deed transfer tax this year, so that I'm not looking at where we're going to rob money from. So I myself favor option 3, and I'd like the staff to come back with figures on how much they feel we could accommodate. I think that we have seen that food banks, unfortunately, are playing a greater role in families' livelihoods in this area. I'm not necessarily seeing it as a municipal responsibility, but it is a responsibility of the community. And I think that we have to put a fair amount of weight behind option 3. I'll wait to hear what the other discussion is, but you'll see I'm favoring 3.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Vino?
Thank you. We're all hearing from residents about how hard things have become with groceries costing more, fuel costing more, and it's getting harder for folks to make ends meet. Our local food banks are often the first place people turn to when they need a bit of help to get through a tough patch, and a small local contribution helps make sure that support is there when it's needed, right here in our own communities. The third option or motion recognizes that food banks are an important service to our residents and that they need some stability to plan and to operate. This approach that's being proposed is modest and fair, and it's a relatively small increase in the budget that can make a real difference locally. While food insecurity is a much bigger issue that other levels of government also need to address, I believe this is a practical and responsible way for us as a rural municipality to support our neighbors and be mindful of taxpayers. And living is a whole lot easier with a full belly. That's my consensus. And often in order to increase funding, something else might have to go, and I'm willing to have that hard conversation because this is what we're hearing and this is where we can help. So I support option 3.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hubley?
Thank you. Well said, Deputy Mayor Vino. So I am also in favor of option 3. If we do go with option 3, it does not mean that they would not be eligible for the operating grant, does it? They would still be eligible for the operating grant?
I think staff, I haven't checked with our Director of Recreation who manages those programs, but the intention would be you're creating a separate category for operating funding. So you wouldn't have them also applying for an operating grant separately. However, my thought is it wouldn't exclude them if they had capital upgrades to apply from other types of grants. So you wouldn't want them double dipping on an operating fund because that's what you're providing with option 3. But that doesn't exclude them from, just like any other organization, they could apply for a leadership grant and then they could apply for a capital grant.
Councillor Brooks?
I echo exactly what Deputy Mayor Vino has said, and I think that I'm certainly hearing it as well in my community. I think when we rank hierarchies of the things that we have to spend on, we've got to really focus on human needs first and then come down from that, everything else. So I'm certainly in favor of option 3. I would also add that I would like us, when we're doing further budget discussions, to see if we've put some things off onto the side that could add some more funds to this. We're going to maybe have another water situation this summer, which is going to require funding. And I don't see any immediate situation that's going to change these increasing needs on our food banks. To me, that's really important. And so I'll support number 3, and I'll support a conversation to see about increasing that funding as well.
Councillor Smith?
Thanks. I also support option 3 and, agree with what's been said. I think just 2 points. There was an announcement at the federal level on January 13th around funding, around food security, so I'm really hopeful that that makes a difference. And in particular, there was a $20 million top-up for local food infrastructure fund. So I don't know if we can provide a letter of support or something for the Bridgewater Food Bank. But I would like to suggest that we do, because I think that fund matches, what their issues are in terms of capital expenses. So I'm really hoping that they can take advantage of that. And I guess my second point is that, there's a lot of conversations around the province right now around basic income, and there's a community conversation coming on February 19th in Lunenburg as a follow-up to a film event that was done by the Beyond the Band-Aids initiative. And I just want to make the case for us advocating for action on higher level, not higher, but different orders of government, because the food security issue is happening, is being created at other orders of government income. So I'd like to see us advocating on those cost of living issues, including perhaps basic income. So I would just, encourage folks to check out that conversation in Lunenburg.
Okay, thank you. I'm hearing quite a lot of support for option 3. Is there anyone who would like to speak to another option or another comment? Councillor Bell?
I think we're ready for a motion, and my motion of favor, as I said, was option 3. If someone else wants to speak, fine. If not,
Yeah, it's not actually a motion, it's just direction today, so. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Thank you. All right. And so Councillor Bell, you're putting that motion on the floor?
I would. Would you like it read?
Yes.
To the Chair, Councillor Reinhardt, and members of the committee, I move that the Finance Committee direct staff to pursue option 3 for the 2026-27 budget in response to the request for funding from the Bridgewater and Area Interchurch Food Bank. I so move.
Okay, moved by Councillor Bell, seconded by Councillor Moore. All those in favor? Passed unanimously. All right, we will move on to our added item, and that is the correspondence from the town of Lunenburg. And that is our CAO, Tom McEwen, will be presenting on that.
Thank you, Chair. So council would have all been included in an email from the mayor, which included the correspondence from the town of Lunenburg dated January 28th, 2026, and it's a request for operating and capital support for their arena. By way of quick summary, the request and the operating side is $60,000. The request on the capital side to upgrade the ice plant system, which cost approximately $270,000. They presented 2 scenarios. Scenario 1 is if they receive the provincial funding that they're applying for. So their expectation is to receive between $100,000 and $150,000 towards this project, and they're proposing that the town of Lunenburg and the district of Lunenburg split the balance up to $75,000 each. Scenario 2 assumes that there's no provincial funding, then the cost of $270,000 plus HST would be split between the town of Lunenburg and the district of Lunenburg at approximately $150,000 each. What we're looking for today is some indication from council on how they want us to include this in the operating budget, which we are hoping to release Friday. So it's a request. There has been a history of support for the town of Lunenburg rink. We do regularly include an operating grant in our budget. And I think Trudy may have some information on historical funding that we provided to the town for different capital projects for the arena. Yep. So Trudy, if you could just add that information, please.
Yes, so since 2020, over the last 5 years, we've contributed in total $300,000 towards the town of Lunenburg recreation facilities. It's been a combination of operating funding and capital. So over those 5 years, the operating funding totals $260,000 and the capital $40,000, and that was a commitment of a roof payment we made commitment of 10,000 over 4 years, so contributing 40,000 to the roof, and that was started, I think, in 2018. And we contributed 20,000 towards an ice surfacer in 2021. So again, the total was 300,000, with 260 being operating and 40 for capital.
Okay, we'll start with questions. Deputy Mayor Vino.
Thank you. I don't have a question, just a comment on this, and I just wanted to speak to the ask itself and saying that residents don't limit recreation uses to where they pay their taxes. Modal residents regularly use recreation facilities in neighboring communities, whether that be arenas, pools, fields, community center, just as residents from neighboring towns use modal facilities. And because our residents actively use recreation facilities across municipal boundaries, it makes sense for us to support regional recreation capital investments that benefit all residents, even when those facilities are located in our neighboring communities. So I will be in support of their ask when it comes budget time. Thank you.
Mayor McLean-Weil.
I think Deputy Mayor Vino has spoken well to this, but I do want to provide a little background because she and I attended a meeting with the mayor of Lunenburg and the deputy mayor, and we had, I think, a really productive meeting discussing this and the needs in our community and the recognition that these costs are significant for all of us, and that on an ongoing basis, we have been supportive of sharing those costs. As Deputy Mayor Vino has pointed out, our residents don't look at the geographic boundaries when they take their children to minor hockey or go to the farmer's market or attend any of those events in Lunenburg that are hosted in their facilities. Nor do their residents look at it when they attend the LCLC events and take part in things outside their jurisdiction. It did bring us to a much bigger conversation about how we as a community look at our community assets, and I say that in its broadest sense, which means our arenas, our swimming pools, our other recreation facilities, whether it be the Mark and our new pickleball court or the various other assets we have. And that as a broader community, we really need to think about how we plan for these in the future, because the cost associated with purchase and maintenance is growing. We saw it in, and you will see it in the LCLC budget as it comes forward to us. Here's an example of how it is presented to the town of Lunenburg. And we brought ourselves in the discussion to looking at what, as a community, we need to think about long-term around how we manage these assets. So we agreed as the mayor and deputy mayor of both the municipalities to have a further conversation to this after the budget is set and after our budget discussions are complete, and that we will pursue this because it is a significant issue, and our lack of planning as municipal units for the ongoing management of our assets is a real weakness in terms of our recognition of the capital needs that are facing us. So I think that will be a discussion we'll have after March 31st. And I think it was a really positive discussion and a willingness to really look at what we can do together around planning for this. So I also asked the question if our contribution to capital could be planned over a 2-year period, and there was a willingness to consider that as well. So I just table that as something for the conversation, but I do, like Deputy Mayor Vino, think that we do need to consider this in our planning, and that particularly because we also need to think about it in the broader context of how we can work together as municipal units to really address our longer-term needs in terms of recreation facilities.
Councillor Brooks.
I echo the mayor, absolutely. I think that some of these facilities are the most important assets we have in our community. As a kid who grew up playing minor hockey in Truro, I have so many good memories of that place. And it's not just the kids, it's the families and it's the community bonding time, and it's, you know, from curling to hockey to all of the other things that they host. It's incredibly important. I think the mayor is right. We should have a vision going forward to how we're going to support and maintain these assets. But I'm absolutely in support of that and look forward to that conversation because I want to see them healthy and open and available well past when I'm gone. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Oikel.
Sorry, I agree that I'm just wondering things. So I agree to support, for sure. But the community center is separate from the arena, right? They're two separate buildings. And we usually rent. Do we rent space we usually rent at the community center, do we not? Like if we're going to use it for our recreational purposes, we rent. Yes, no? Because the community center is the gym it used to be the gym of the school, of whatever, right, where the Lunenburg Farmers Market is.
I guess if we were renting it for a particular space, but quite often we've partnered with the town of Lunenburg, and what comes to mind is the sport wheelchair basketball. So we do use the community center's gymnasium, but that's a program that's in partnership, so there wouldn't, yeah. So we try to work in partnership when we can, but if we were renting it to do something specific on our own, yeah, we would probably pay the rent. But we tend to try to book within our own municipalities when it comes to programming. But gym space is usually at a premium, and it works well for us to do that in partnership with the town of Lunenburg. That's the example that comes to mind.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because they are two separate buildings, right? Okay, thanks.
Deputy Mayor Vino.
Yeah, just one other comment that I'll say is the mayor had referenced the impromptu meeting that we have, and as the old saying goes, the phone works both ways, but the conversation we had is that the people move both ways. So not only are our residents using town facilities, town residents are using our facilities. It was the first time that I think we really had a good conversation with town of Lunenburg since I've been on council to realize we both don't need to be redoing the same services. So as the mayor alluded to, looking at what the LCLC does versus the town of Lunenburg rink, and it really opened that conversation for us to come back to the table after budget to find out how we can best make use of the facilities that we have in our region and keep them going.
Councillor Smith.
Do we make any kind of contribution to the Mahone Bay Center? And maybe I'll just hold that for a budget discussion, but thanks.
I can't answer it. We have made a contribution of $10,000. Of course, that's each year for their operations, which is something that they came and asked for quite some time ago. So you'll see it in the operating budget, and it will be on the slide as that ongoing commitment.
Mayor McLean-Weil.
Yeah, just one last comment, and I know that our council probably recognizes this, but the Lunenburg Farmers Market, I think we also need to recognize the importance of the facility for the community center, which is used for the year-round aspect of the farmers market, although it does move to the arena during the summer months. And the number of those, I don't have the exact number for Lunenburg, but having been a regular shopper there, I would say 80% of the vendors live in the municipality who are involved in that. It might be 75 because there are some other people that come into that market, but it is a really valuable piece of the local food movement and the artisan movement that we have in our community, and there aren't many places that can accommodate it in the way that Lunenburg does. It's well established as a location, a destination point for not only our residents, but certainly for our summer visitors and to our community. So I didn't want to miss the opportunity to just say how important it is from a farmer's market point of view as well.
Okay, are there any further comments? Okay, we have one in-camera item to discuss. So maybe we will take a quick break and then come back and move into that. So let's say 10 minutes. Okay, we're back after our recess, and we do have one in-camera agenda item. So could someone make a motion to move into camera? Councillor Oikel and seconded by Councillor Moore. All in favor? Passed unanimously. Okay, and we'll just make sure that we are not live right now.